This is my recap of My 5 Wives, Season 1, Episode 1, Stuck in the Middle with You, and You, and You. So last year they did a documentary about this family, and apparently it got good enough numbers and the family was interesting enough to go ahead and do a whole season. Now, I watched the documentary, so I kind of already know the family, and one of the big things I'm excited about with this season is that the family has left their church of faith. Now, I'm not happy that they left it, but what I find interesting is that plural marriage on Sister Wives, which is another show I watch, has always been talked about as one of the tenets of their faith. It's one of the things that bring you closer to God and, mature in your faith. So I that's not part of my religion, but I can understand the idea of having things in your religion that have you grow closer to God. And I'm sure they have a lot of theology behind it that they've never shared. But this family has since left their church. And so I'm curious to know how that affects their view of plural marriage. If that's the primary reason why they got into plural marriage, how is their marriage affected once they leave the church? And why did they leave the church? And I'm just nosy in general. I like to know things about people. Everyone who knows me knows that. I watch documentaries, I read memoirs, I watch a lot of reality TV. So that is just part of who I am. But let's go ahead and get into this particular episode. First off, I thought the opening was really creepy. He kept opening up his eyes and there was a different wife there and they would be like, "Hey, hi, sweetie." And the music was kind of like dreamy. And to me, I just was like, what is going on? Is this like a psychological thriller? Is he split personality? I found it, I don't know why, for whatever reason, I found it super bizarre opening. So we have that. I can't tell the wives apart. I can tell the two brunettes, but I can't tell the three blondes. If I really, really pause the TV and look at them, I can kind of figure out which one of them it is and what do they do and who are they like, what are they like and all that. But it'd be so much more helpful if they had a name tag with the name and first wife and how many years and how many kids and what they do and all that. But no one asked my opinion, so there you are. First wife, Paulie, 22 years. She's one of the two brunettes, 6 kids. Second wife is Robin, 21 years, 5 kids. Then Rosemary, the other brunette, 19 years, 4 kids. Nonie, 15 years, 5 kids. And last is Rhonda, 4 kids. They didn't tell me how long they've been married. I tried to look online, couldn't find anything. So I don't know. Maybe more than 10, maybe less. I don't really know. Now they have 2 homes on one piece of property. Each wife has about 2,000 square feet of designated living space. Each house has a shared laundry room. So their bill is about $4,000 for groceries every month, and there are 30 people in their family. So Brady, his 5 wives, and his 24 kids. So there you go. That is the basic structure. Now they are considering moving away from where they're at now, and after watching Sister Wives, I don't know if I want to follow that storyline again, but they have left their church, and apparently wherever they live is pretty much just people from that church, so I'm dying to know where that is, and I don't know, I've got a real problem. So, but this is our basic setup. Now, sometime in the past year, someone must have sent out a polygamous male email telling them that they need to get all their sister wives to be friends, because we saw that on Sister Wives. Now we see this on this show, and he brings up this idea of safe talks, which is a safe way for the wives to go and talk to another wife about issues they may have. I didn't think anything of that when I watched the episode, but after giving it some thought and trying to verbalize what I was thinking, I've actually decided that I don't agree with that. And this is why. In my life, there is no one that I have a stronger relationship on this earth than my husband. There's not a problem that I have that I wouldn't bring to him first, okay? And assumably in their marriage, Brady has 5 relationships like that. He has 5 equally strong relationships with 5 women, and there is no human relationship that is stronger and all the rest are less strong, and those 5 relationships are all equal. Now, each of those wives only have 1 relationship. So I believe this is actually a Sister Wives reference about it being like spokes on a wheel. He's in the center and he has these 5 equal, relationships that span out away from him. that are all equally strong. Now, this is where it gets a little weird. Try to explain it well. If I go to my strongest relationship on earth and I have a problem with someone and he has a stronger relationship with them than I do, it makes sense that he would deal with it. Here's an example of what I mean. In our family, we have this rule that if my husband and I, if there's a problem with my parents, I deal with it. If there's a problem with his parents, he deals with it. I stay out of that and he stays out of mine. And the idea is that I've had a relationship with them for my parents a lot longer than he has, and it's a much stronger relationship. They don't want him messing around in that relationship. So I go and I deal with it and he stays out of it. And that's worked really well in our family. We still have problems, but you know what I mean? Like the emotional baggage, the underlying currents, there's all this extra stuff that goes on between me and my parents that my husband is not equipped to deal with. So what I feel like is if a sister wife has a problem in the household, in the big family, she brings it to her husband, strongest relationship on earth. It makes more sense that if something needs to be done with another wife, that he deals with it. Because does this wife really want this wife coming to her to talk about family issues? As we saw in this episode, the answer is no. That's just my opinion. It's certainly not like a doctoral thesis, but that's kind of where I'm at with that. So to me, it makes sense that these safe talks fail, because we saw the situation this week where we tried the safe talk, and it was like clear when you watched it there was a lot more going on than you knew, because I believe it was Paulie went to Nonie. Paulie went to Nonie and said, "Hey, I normally pay the bills, but you pay this bill." And Nonie was like, "Oh," and Paulie was like, "Oh." And it was like you could feel the awkwardness, but I couldn't understand where the awkwardness was coming from. But it was clear there was huge. They weren't talking about a bill. They were talking about something totally different. I mean, there may have really been a bill, but I have no clue the tension that was going on underneath it. And then Nonie flipped her lid on Brady and was screaming, and it was clear this was a huge issue to her. That makes sense to me. They've all lived together for all these years, and it just seems like there's a lot more going on. The one thing I do appreciate in the show is that they're being pretty upfront about there being issues in plural marriage that they have to struggle with. Whereas on Sister Wives, they always kind of pretended like nothing really, there really were no issues, no one ever fought, or they were minor, or they were all in the past or something. And I understand, because if it's a religious thing, you don't want to actually admit how much you struggle, because then people will judge the religion. I get all that, but I do appreciate, again, maybe because they left the religion, or just maybe who these people are individually, they are more open and honest about their individual frustrations with the family itself. The last thing I want to mention, this is probably getting really long, is I'm really surprised at how, I won't say judgmental, but there's a lot of things that people were bringing up on Twitter that I just would never comment on. Like people's body shape, I just don't comment on that. I don't feel it's my business. Or how many kids people have. Once again, I think that's a really individual right that, you know, people have the decision to choose, and I don't know. So maybe I'm more open-minded than I've given myself credit for, but I'm excited to see more from the family. I'm excited to learn more about them. They seem like overall interesting, nice people. So hit me up in the comments if you have anything to add.